Welcome to Hot Topics in International Trade, brought to you by Braumiller Law Group and Braumiller Consulting Group. Hi, I'm Bob Brewer. Welcome to the podcast. Today with me, I have James Holbein. He's our Washington D.C. of Counsel. And our topic is going to be, we're going to do several of these, matter of fact. We're probably going to do 4 or 5 of these podcasts that are going to have nothing to do with the metaverse, crypto, digital assets, DAOs, blockchain. This man has been in this, 7, 8 years, Jim?
Oh, 7 years for sure.
7 years for sure. So not only that, get this. He's been authoring articles on the subject that I've been putting out there with Mondac alone, 30,000 reads just in the past 7 months. That's incredible. Matter of fact, Mondac has awarded James, it is FinTech United States Thought Leadership. Wow. And
I'm blushing.
I'm blushing. That was awarded to you like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So
exactly.
You can find that off the Mondac site. I'm out there marketing it. That's incredible. But, he and his son, Justin, have also been authored. Justin, shout out to you, man, for helping us out on authoring some of these articles, who also works for the International Trade Commission.
He works there. He's a data analyst, and he's also a Web3 he's just finished a certification for Web3 data alchemy.
Oh, man.
And he finished a Wharton School of Business program on the metaverse. So the guy knows his stuff and really helps to enrich me by sharing his ideas and help me to understand what's going on too.
Well, you guys were mining crypto out of the house not so long.
We were for a while. Yeah. He had several, and he was mining. Then he sold the equipment, but he's very into it. And,
but you're my walking, talking encyclopedia of trade too. I mean, you worked 12 years with the International Trade Commission before you came to work for us. Give us a little lowdown on some of the government experience that you've had over the years then.
Sure, I'd be glad to, Bob. Started my career with the State Department. I was fortunate enough to have passed the Foreign Service test, became a Foreign Service officer, so I was a U.S. diplomat, and I served in Korea in consular services, issuing visas, and a lot of other things.
Okay.
And then in Norway as an economist and learned a lot. I was an international economist there. Came back, worked in State Department on the U.S.-Canada free trade talks, and we actually successfully negotiated the agreement with Canada that ultimately led to NAFTA.
Yep.
I then moved to the Commerce Department, ran the Mexico desk pre-NAFTA to negotiate several agreements with the Mexicans so they could join, and then ran the FTA and then NAFTA Secretariat, which was the dispute settlement organization for the United States. It was for all 3 countries. I ran the U.S. section for 10 years, all told.
Wow.
Then I went to the private sector and did a lot of startups and tried to catch that brass ring of financial freedom and just missed.
Yeah, right.
So came back to the International Trade Commission for 12 years and ended there as a federal executive as director of the Office of Tariff Affairs and Trade Agreements.
Wow.
And I've been with Braumiller Law Group now almost 3 years.
Well, thanks for coming to work
2.5 years.
For us, after all. That we appreciate it.
It's been such a wonderful welcome, and I feel so much at home here. I appreciate it a great deal.
Hey, we're family. That's just the way it works here. We are family.
Yeah, and you guys know your stuff.
Well, you do too. Matter of fact, speaking of knowing your stuff, I'm going to get into this crypto thing by just mentioning 3 little letters. FTX. Wow.
Here's who we hit the bass note.
Sam Bankman. I'm not even calling him Freed. I'm calling him Fried because the DOJ is involved. I don't get it. Here's the thing. I look back on his resume. Like MIT grad. Okay, got kind of an inkling of what to do. Comes out of school, goes to work for one of the firms in New York on the trading. Finds an opportunity here. Actually started out in Hong Kong doing this. Got a little restrictive there, so he moved the operation down to the Bahamas. But he and his friends who are just running this little fraternity of nerds, making up their monopoly money and moving stuff around with Almeida. And oh my God, no oversight whatsoever. Here we are, $32 billion down the drain almost overnight.
Yes, it's a major problem, but it's part and parcel when you have a new sector and you're developing a new I liken it to the early or the late and mid to late 90s, when the internet was really getting going and personal computers were just coming out, there were a bunch of companies and startups, and it was really crazy. And then it got really wacky around the end, Y2K around 2000, and the dot-com bubble burst in 2002. A lot of companies went bankrupt. A lot of them were shown to be frauds or, the same kind of sketchy business practices. And the companies that were left have become the biggest companies in the stock market now. So Microsoft, Google, Apple, and not Amazon so much, but at least those three.
Right.
So this is part of the turmoil of an early stage of development of a new part of technology that's going to really help the economy.
To be expected kind of thing? I mean,
I don't know to be expected, but to be watched out for.
Well, nobody was, apparently.
Here's the thing. What kills me is here we have the chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler himself. They were buds. They were buddies. And Gensler never thought, because he's a billionaire, never thought to actually look into whether there's any financial reality to the exchange.
Right,
with all the craziness he's talking about for
FTT
oversight.
Was the monopoly money, moving it to Alameda and back and forth.
They were just making up money. They were pumping and dumping, man. They were moving it back and forth between FTX and Alameda, back and forth, pumping the price up completely artificially. And if it was on the blockchain, it would have been transparent to anybody.
Right.
Anybody could have seen this, but because they centralized it and kept it behind a black box, then they could get away with anything. So it tells you in this new sector, unless the company and the token is decentralized and visible on the blockchain, don't get involved.
Right.
Don't touch it, because if it's a black box centralized thing, you can't do that with this technology.
Right.
The old model of, the central bank and the other banks all around themselves don't work.
I will. Tell us what you think about the legal issues now involved with the clouds. I mean, he's not like Farmer Bro to me. That guy was just, him. He's apologetic, and he's saying, hey, man, I screwed up.
Hey, man, I took your money and I'm a thief. Hey, man, I committed felonies. But we're not going to go into that because I'm a good dude and I'm going to tell you how to write legislation.
Well, he was very,
He was very effective spokesman
yes, he was.
Until it became apparent it was all self-serving.
Well, the philanthropy, too. I mean, he was giving money away. I mean, Democrats, he was doling it out, saying essentially, this is my MO. I want to make a lot of money and give it all.
I want to be regenerative economy.
That's right.
Which I'm, by the way, a big proponent of. I have an article on impact DAOs and the regenerative economy.
Yes.
And that is actually important to me. Personally and professionally, I think that is the direction we should be going with the growth of this technology. At least one of the major thrusts should be to have companies and enable companies with decentralized work to be able to do good. I'm a do-gooder. To be able to, like, for example, on climate change, or using research science to get better data. Let's enlist citizen scientists from around the world.
Right.
Let them put sensors and gain data and help the science community to get better data. And it can easily be done through a DAO, through a decentralized autonomous organization. I have a pattern how that could happen. That's the kind of stuff I think should be going on, not this crazy pump and dump nonsense behind closed doors. Forget about it.
Well, yeah, but
but
it's been such a domino effect. It wasn't just FTX.
130 companies are shaken.
Right.
They're not all going to go under, but a lot of them will, I'm sorry to say. But the people get to come back. The people who know their stuff reinvent themselves. Hell, I've lived in 25 residences over the last 50 years. I've had literally 40 jobs of different types.
It's a crazy resume.
ADD, man, I guess. It's hard to stay in. But the thing is, keep moving and doing stuff that's interesting. And people who know what they're about and are really into the sector, they're not going to get thrown out. They're just going to recycle into the next version that's built on better principles, that's regulated and has right oversight properly so that they conduct business like a real business.
Instead of your girlfriend being the CEO.
Yeah. I mean,
are you telling me then that Sam Bankman-Fried can come back?
No, I think Sam Bankman-Fried is going to jail.
All right. How long?
That's
How
what I
long do you
think.
think he's going to jail for something like this? I mean,
I have no idea.
they're going to want to.
That's up to DOJ and
I
whether
know.
or not he has some way to buy his way out. I mean,
No, because he said he was down to one credit card now with only $100,000. He
baloney.
pulled $300 million out of there.
Okay, wait a minute. He lives in the Bahamas and he knew how to move money.
Yeah, exactly.
Instantaneously. He committed. I suspect personally that he committed the hack that moved $500 million out of the exchange at the end.
Yep.
And I'll bet you anything, some of that's in wallets that are in the Caymans.
Oh, absolutely.
So no, the man's not broke. He just
No.
hit it. He hit it long before this hit.
Oh man, give me your views on
That's
that.
my opinion. I'm sorry if I am not trying to slander the poor man or commit this.
No,
my
it's
personal opinion, not the opinion of the law firm, but still at all.
Okay, so you don't feel sorry for the dude. A lot of people don't.
I don't feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
He's a crook.
I know, but he's very apologetic. Is what I'm saying, and that really isn't going to go very far.
I'm so
Not in
sorry
this.
I lost all your
Money.
money and mine too.
Tom Brady and his wife. I mean, there are some billionaires that want him to hang too. So.
I'm quite sure.
Anyhow,
anyway, let's
move
to the regular. What do we do next?
Yes, and we've got to get past him, but he was huge in the landscape.
Oh yeah,
huge.
It's going to be funny.
All right, so what do you think? I mean, where do we go from here then?
Okay. I believe that the technology, blockchain and distributed ledger technology that cryptocurrency is built upon is a technology. It's really great record keeping because you have an immutable record and it's easy to use, or it's actually transparent to use. It isn't easy necessarily, but it is transparent. You have the ability to decentralized. The last 2 years have taught us that having a decentralized workforce is a really positive thing for a lot of people, and I think that this technology enables that globally, and you can have people anywhere doing work,
Right?
And that's a cool thing. I think that we can organize ourselves in different ways than just in a firm. I personally view this technology as being one for freedom, for inclusion, for helping people anywhere to be able to monetize their identity, monetize themselves. They can have NFTs are a wonderful way to move intellectual property. You can wrap a contract, a regular document, put a smart contract around it, and then that can be sold and then used, and it's easy. You can put a record, a book, anything that you want, wrap it with the NFT. So the NFTs that we see, the non-fungible tokens, are typically thought of right now as art. I personally think they're going to become a major tool for moving intellectual property among people and helping both the companies but also the artists to reap better royalties. I think for the artists it could be really, really helpful. And so I think that we can move beyond FTX. The lesson to take is do not let the companies be black boxes. When they go centralized and they're trying to move this use this technology without that transparency, real problems.
Well, the blockchain to me is the transparency. I mean, even when I delve into Walmart was using blockchain when they said, let's do a test. We want to find out what the root cause of this salmonella poisoning is in this particular food item.
That's right.
Time that was like 3 days or something. You enter blockchain, and it came down to like a matter of a minute.
Yes.
That's the transparency playing. I mean, with the largest retailer in the U.S. using that now, just to show you everyone, this is how this can work.
I'm working with a company out of Malaysia, and they have blockchain on their products, which happen to be nitrile gloves, and they're able to trace any problem with them all the way back easily. And the nice thing about it is that traceability is also can then extend in the supply chain and make it easier to move and complete transactions globally. Right now you have something like 24 different sets of documents have to be created in different languages to move goods from, say, Vietnam to the United States or to Europe or to Japan. Any of those, you have a lot of paperwork. That can be very streamlined
Right.
through use of blockchain tools.
That's right.
And so I wrote an article about that, as you know.
Well, you're going to write a lot of articles for me. Well, Jim, I like to keep these to 15 minutes.
Okay.
We're gonna talk more about a lot of these things, but I want to delve into your magazine page a little bit because that was interesting. Well, this is our digital magazine.
Okay.
Jim's got his page like everyone else, and you are into meditation on a daily basis. Is that?
I am.
Tell us a little bit about that. How that keeps you grounded, or
Okay. I've been into meditation or spiritual pursuits for 50 years.
50?
My mother was a Christian Scientist.
Whoa.
And when I was like 15, I observed her doing healings.
Okay.
And they were real. I couldn't deny the evidence of my senses. So I said, well, I want to understand what that is. So I dropped out of the University of Michigan in my junior year for a host of reasons, and took a couple of years off. When I went back to the University of California at Santa Barbara, I took religious studies, and I have a Bachelor of Arts in Religious Studies.
What?
Yes, sir.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and I studied meditation, yoga, Christian mysticism, a bunch of stuff there. And I've pursued that as an avocation ever since. And I study spiritual texts and practices pretty deeply and try to put them into my life on a regular basis, do some study,
Wow.
and then do like 20 minutes of meditation. Right now I'm using Dr. Wayne Dyer is a wonderful writer on spiritual topics.
Interesting, okay.
And he has a book, James Twyman wrote the Moses Code, and I'm trying to think of the one, I can't think of the title of of Dr. Dyer's book, but he has a CD that's the I Am Meditations. And so that I use every day.
Cool. If I'd have known all this, I'd at least burn some sandalwood incense. But hey, listen.
I don't burn sandalwood at home.
I appreciate you stopping by. And ladies and gentlemen, Jim and I are going to have a lot of discussions on this continuation, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, because there's so much to delve into with this metaverse. But, I thank you for stopping by and chatting
Thank you,
with
Bob.
me. Okay.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Relax. We've got you covered. Global trade compliance to us is just another day at the beach.